Hey everybody, C-Note here. Welcome to DOPEamine. Hope you guys are doing okay. The scenery here is going to change a little bit. I'm up in Rochester, New York, and it's already starting to feel like wintertime. So it's going to be a little cloudier, less natural light. I have to kind of play with lighting a little bit, and scenery is going to change a little bit. So just kind of bear with me. Don't worry about giving me any critiques or anything. I'm going to worry about that myself. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the great comments that you've been giving me on this channel. Today, I want to talk to you about INTPs and ADHD, because that's something I deal with. I recently did a video about INTP disorders and why INTPs tend to think they have a disorder, and also did a recent podcast episode on DOPEamine at DOPEamine.life called Reasons versus Excuses ADHD, talking all about why ADHD is one of those things that we can use as something that we can use as an excuse to not be better. Same for mental illness, and I'm going to cover all sorts of different topics using the reason versus excuses sort of vibe. I feel very creepy with this shadow. I got this big bright light here, so, well, again, I'm just trying to figure it out as I go along. So ADHD, like I said, I get distracted. So I do have ADHD, and that's something I've been challenged with and I've been dealing with in my life as an INTP who also has ADHD. Now, there is a very clear difference, and basically this video is about me talking about the difference between someone who is just an INTP versus someone who also has ADHD. I'm not going to move my hands as much because it's distracting to the shadows. It's really funny. So ADHD versus INTPs. And INTPs, we can definitely get distracted. I think even without ADHD, it's really easy to get sidetracked by things. We start a bunch of projects and we kind of leave them sitting there and, don't get things moving. We can be a little bit unorganized in our external world sometimes, and people can have that perception that we have ADHD because some of the symptoms of ADHD match some of the descriptions of intuitive perceivers. So this isn't just INTPs, INFPs, ENFPs, ENTPs, NPs can have this challenge of feeling like maybe they're ADHD because part of the way that we learn is being distracted or following the shiny object or following the shadow and going towards it and understanding and figuring out how to go with it and how to make connections of disparate things. Sometimes we poke at things. Sometimes we need to be playful and sort of disrupt the energy in the room to sort of test out things and see how things go. So the perceiver side of things tends to mean that we prefer to just be a little looser in the outside world. When we're having fun and talking to people, I'm not too concerned about how I look. Like I said, I just kind of cobbled together some lighting. I'm not too worried about it. I'll deal with it and I'll improve it as I go along. But for the most part, this is just, I needed to record this video. I'm late. I just want to get it done, right? So perceivers, we can be a little bit messy. Sometimes we can start a bunch of projects and not finish them. And, we can appear to be a little bit more disorganized because we tend to organize in our minds. So we're not organized in the outside world. So generally that could be misconstrued as being an ADHD specific behavior. Now the difference, the main difference between someone who has ADHD and who doesn't have ADHD is the chemical side of things. So chemically, I need some sort of a hit, meaning as an ADHD person, I need the feedback loop. So it's not just video games and playing them hour after hour after hour. It's about the feedback loop of getting the immediate button press and then an action happens. So if we don't have enough of that in the outside world, if we're working on bigger projects and we're not breaking them down into smaller chunks, so here, I'll use this hand. If we're not breaking down our projects into smaller chunks, it's going to have a chemical effect on us. It can affect our mood. It can affect the ability to continue to perform other actions and give love or respect to people around us. We can get rather moody, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge. We have to manage the fact that we have low dopamine levels. And the challenge is that typically INTPs, we kind of keep our processes pretty low, right? It's very similar to an ADHD situation where we are kind of keeping our mental space kind of low. If you imagine my head being a tank full of water or something, we keep it pretty low, and then we kind of spike up when we need to use that, or when something catches our attention, or we need to just be excited about something, right? Whereas with ADHD, it's about that being persistently low, but it's still draining all the time. And we need a hit to keep it even at that low, even keel, right? So even to keep it at that low place that INTPs already have, and an INTP with ADHD, we need to do a lot of work to make sure that we bring a lot more joy into our lives, a lot of color with the green, and a little bit more action, a little bit more fun into our lives to keep that going, and to keep a master list, to keep organized, to make sure that we are breaking down our projects into manageable chunks and getting things done so that we don't become a hot mess, right? So that major difference right there is basically what that is. The difference between an INTP and an ADHD person is the chemical feeling. Because for me, the feeling internally, it feels addictive. I feel like I need to satiate something. A lot of ADHD people will fidget a lot, will move a lot. I'm more inattentive ADHD, which is formerly ADD. So I kind of space out if I'm not interested in the topic, which I know INTPs can also do that too, but it's almost involuntary. Like I just kind of disappear from space and time and kind of come back and realize that I missed a lot. And as much as I even want to give a ton of attention, I really, really can't. I know INTPs can also do the same thing. Again, the difference is kind of chemical. The difference is the feeling that you simply don't have any control over it at all. For an INTP, it's typically selective. We don't want to pay attention to things that we don't care about. Like, that's just like a kind of a waste of our efficient brain space. But for ADHD, it's just gone. Just not even there. So for ADHD, basically, to remind you, it's the chemical thing. So for me, it's like physically feeling this like shakiness, this like I need a cookie, or I need a stimulant, I need caffeine. ADHD people can fall into difficulties with substances, and it's been a problem with me in my life, as I've talked about on the podcast quite a few times, quite a fit. I was trying to mix the two words. That and extroverted intuition is something that happens in our natural development as INTPs. But for me, my situation was just like exploded because it was paired with my ADHD, and I let go a lot more than I should have. And I'm learning in my life as I get older, and I'm trying to manage more things. I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to connect with more people. I'm trying to be more helpful to myself and my partner. I need to realize that I need to use a little bit more of my extroverted feeling to manage that, because ADHD people, we need to rely a little bit more on extroverted systems. So that means if you're an INFP, to use some of your TE in your stack. If you're an ENFP, also use TE. If you're an NTP, to use your FE to have people help hold you accountable, or to use external systems like writing things down and making sure that people know what it is that you need to do today, tomorrow, what you're trying to get done, the big picture projects, so that someone can say, hey, what's the deal with that thing? Why are you not working on that? And INTPs can use the same thing. I think it's very valuable to use some of that organization in the outside world, but ADHD people just need to lean on it a little bit more to feel like you're not falling behind, to feel like you're someone that can, do the things that you want to do. So I've been doing I've been keeping what's called a master list. Instead, I used to make like a ton of lists of things. I would have like a list of big projects, or a list of all sorts of variations of projects. Instead, I decided to put everything on a master list, and then I pick from that master list every day of the things I need to do. And even if there are big things like write a book, then I break that into chapters, or I break the bigger projects into smaller chunks so that I can manage them and organize them. So that's the thing, is like we can get comfortable as ADHD people, especially perceivers, at just saying that's just who I am. That's just part of my perceiving process. But even perceivers who don't have ADHD need to use a little bit of their judging side, right? ENFPs need to use a little bit of their TE to put into action what they've decided into their their narrative moral compass, like what they've decided that they need to do, they need to put into action, right? For NTPs, INTPs, or ENTPs, we need to use some of that FE. The knowledge that we're gathering needs to be put into something, needs to be put forth into the world to help people, to care about people, to create some sort of change. That's why these videos exist. I'm gathering information, I'm learning new things, and I'm sharing it with you. So hopefully you can take that and go out into the world and create and do rad new things. So that was just kind of like a brief overview of what I've been thinking about in relation to ADHD versus INTP. Sometimes it's really easy to conflate the symptoms as personality stuff. So it's really easy to look at a description of ADHD and say that's me, right? But what you really need to think about is, are you having a chemical response? Are you unable to focus and have a sense of inattention because you're not able to satisfy your physical needs or to get some sort of a dopamine hit, right? So you got to think about that. That's really the difference. And really only you can figure that out, or go to a therapist and work with them, and they can kind of help you work through that stuff. So I appreciate you for being here. That's all I want to talk about on this topic. If you want to check out my work, go to DOPEamine.life. There are podcasts and articles there, and you can also hit me up for coaching if you're interested in working with me one-on-one to help you with whatever you're dealing with in relation to being an INTP, or you're dealing with mental health challenges and you want to learn to better manage your day-to-day life. I'm not a licensed therapist, but I am a coach, and I will support you with some tough love and some support and cheerleading and doing the best that I can, giving some mental reframes and just sharing parts of my story with you as we start to move forward. Sometimes it's good to just get support. So if you want support, you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to this channel. It's been amazing that everyone's been liking these videos and supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll catch you next time on DOPEamine. See ya. Oh, sorry, real quick. In the comments, there is a INTP breakdown video 2.0 if you sign up for the email list. So first link there on the bottom, go sign up for that. So that's it. All right, see you guys.